Jim Monahan, Chris Swendeman. It's the Christmas edition of the 2 Minute Drill podcast. I apologize. I don't have my Santa hat with me. Otherwise, we could have really done this whole thing up. You have yours. his
There we
Buffalo,
go.
his Buffalo Bills Santa hat.
Exactly.
Maybe we could get a Hallmark Christmas special this time next year.
I'm going to petition the Hallmark Channel to have us as guests for next year. The movie will be called "It's a Podcast Christmas," starring Jim Monahan and Chris Swendeman. What do you
on
think?
on a very special.
Special.
All right,
Exactly.
let's start.
We'll have Candace Cameron Bure as a guest star on the podcast.
Small town girl moves to the big city, finds the love of her life, or is it big city girl moves to the
To
small town? I
and
don't know.
meets
It's
a small town guy,
lumberjack.
something like
Yeah.
wearing a checkered flannel shirt or
And finds the
something.
meaning of true love.
Exactly, and meets Santa.
And
Yeah.
then they
Wow.
become Buffalo Bills fans and they jump on a card table. Or
I
something
like it.
like
I like the premise. Let's go with that.
Well, let's start with football. In fact, and we start with the New York Giants. I do not have any idea who the Giants will be looking for to coach next season, but I know who it won't be.
It will not be Mike Kafka at all, because if you want to learn what not to do if you're in the market to be a head coach in the National Football League, watch film on the Giants' last few games since Brian Dable has been fired and put a special emphasis on the Minnesota game and do the exact opposite.
You don't have to
Because,
watch a lot of
wow.
film either. You could just take the first quarter. In fact, maybe even the
Yep.
first series from Sunday's game. So we'll recap quickly. Vikings jump out to a 3-0 lead. Okay, no big deal. Giants get the
Right.
ball and they're moving. They are in the red zone.
Yep.
After the game, Mike Kafka used the A word because the Giants on 4th and 5, do they go for the tying field goal? No. 4th and 5, they go for it. And why? Because Kafka said the analytics.
Ugh,
Like, what? What?
bad.
Baseball has run amok with analytics.
Right.
If you watch the NBA these days, you know about analytics and 3-point shots being taken
Yep.
again and again and again. You're thinking, well, that's not a very high percentage shot. Why are we taking all of them?
Right.
And now, and listen, sports are numbers and always have been, always will. You think about the way a baseball lineup is put together. Who do you put at the top? Your best hitter. Who do you put in the
Exactly.
middle? That guy who can hit for power. But Chris, I was stunned. I was stunned. And granted, they come back. The game is tied. Even late in the game, the game is tied. But you think, boy, they could have used those 3 points, couldn't they? How much did they lose by? 3 points.
Shocking.
Right? I didn't understand it at all, especially when you think of injuries this team's had. You've got a really young quarterback there.
Mhm.
You don't just go for the three. Like, hey, we're right there with them. I didn't understand it at all. I
You
just did
know,
not understand it.
when when a team is playing out of desperation, it could go one of two ways. Either you're going to make plays and look like a genius, or you're going to snowball and things are going to keep getting worse. Guess which way it's going for the Giants?
Crazy. And then Dart, who wears this incredibly stunning diamond necklace. It's his good luck piece. Well, it breaks during the game.
Right.
And then it's, like, really? Really? I don't want to be one of those. It's not a fashion show, guys, but I don't understand it. And again, I'm the wrong demographic for it. And Dart's not the only one. There's players around every sport all over the place, wearing all
Yeah,
different kinds of chains and jewelry and what have you.
absolutely.
But I'm like, that's awful expensive to be taking a chance. Never mind the fact that somebody can grab you. No.
Grab it by right.
Horsepower.
Exactly. Yeah. Not
Oh.
exactly. Not exactly the sport to be wearing, giving the uh, the opposite team any advantage to grab a hold of you. So,
There was an article in the Athletic wanting to know if Jaxson Dart was regressing. I think the whole team has regressed, to be honest with you. I really do. And, obviously that's why they're going to have another head coach named in the offseason to take the Giants into the 2026 season. But again, it's not going to be Kafka. Any chance that he
No,
had to be a head coach?
no,
Gone.
no. It's just it. He's just not the guy. And I mean, some coaches will surprise you when they take over, and maybe they give the team that little punch that they need, that little adrenaline, that little change of voice in the locker room, as they say. But Kafka's not the guy. You could just see it. But maybe though, the fact that they were playing Minnesota and the guy on the other side of the field, Brian Flores, might make an interesting uh, candidate for the Giants head coach. That I would like to see. That would be an interesting move.
We talked about this last week, and apparently it reared its ugly head again yesterday in the Buffalo Bills game about the officials
Mhm.
placing the ball for whether it's a first down or
Yep.
not. And the NFL, I'm reading this now from Artificial Intelligence, the AI overview. The NFL uses small coin sized RFID sensors embedded in official game balls. They've been doing that since 2017 for tracking data like speed, spin, and location. Analytics again, speeds, but okay,
Right.
all that. Working with Zebra Technologies for next gen stats. And then they go on to give it a little bit more. There apparently are 8K cameras, multiple 8K cameras put around the stadium to measure. There's a little sensor for first downs. So, as you noted last week, the chain
Mhm.
markers, the chain
Yep.
gang, it's just their eye candy. They don't
Right.
do that anymore. So, if they have the technology, how are they continuing to screw this up? I know the officials, for at least right now, are the ones placing the ball, but somebody's got to be able to say, fellas, you're off by the length of a football, if not more.
You have the crew in New York, you have the guys holding the monitors, you have all this technology. Somebody can't be in the ear of one of the linesmen to go, guys, move it forward 1 foot. Or, they're at the 20, not the 22 where you marked it. I just don't get how they can get this wrong at this point. And
NFL
it's
selects
maddening.
Sony's Hawkeye Innovations to revolutionize line to gain measurements. Sony Hawkeye Innovations may
Yeah.
want to work on the technology a little bit, or the NFL might want to take more advantage of it. Either way,
They have to do something at this point because it it's the whole basis of the game, moving down the field, and you can't get the marker right with
move the
that many,
chains.
with the chains and with that many eyes on it. You still can't get it right. That's just embarrassing.
And then the Sunday night game, and again, we talked about this last week. The league still does not know what is and isn't pass interference. There was that call that wasn't made
Right.
against the in the Patriots game, and I'm watching this, and okay, there's one official downfield, and both the defender and the offensive player have their backs to that one official, so I can see him not really being able to see exactly what's
Right.
going on. But there had to be somebody who had eyes in front. Like, how is it not pass interference? To the Patriots' credit, they go out, they score anyway, rather than, harp on the whole thing.
Right.
Vrabel was asked after the game, what did they tell you? And he said something about he didn't secure the ball when he hit the ground, right? Which, if you didn't see the game, receiver
Right. It would.
catches the ball, but he hits the ground, and he never had complete security of the
Right.
ball. But he was tackled before the ball got to him. I don't understand how you cannot make that call. If the Patriots had lost that game, it would not have been because of that call. I don't want to go out there because they
Right.
played a horrible, horrible game. When Jim Harbaugh is out coaching you for a
Right.
good portion of the game, Mike Vrabel, you're not playing very well. The defense looked like the first 3 weeks of the season. They were an absolute sieve as the Ravens go up and down the field. So had they lost, had they not scored there, I'm not going to be the guy saying it was because of that blown call.
Right.
But that said, and we said this last week, they have to get it right. If only because of what's happening with gambling in all of the major sports, because you
Right.
see something like that. And you and I were talking before we came on the air. What was it, for years? Oh, the check must have cleared. Brady gets all the calls. Oh, the check must have cleared. Peyton Manning gets all the calls. You hear that constantly, right? But now you're
Yep.
watching some of these calls. What's the point spread of the game? And you're thinking, okay. And then you see a call that's made, or in the case of that fourth quarter non-call last night. You're going, what game are these guys watching? And it just, as a fan, you watch this and you're thinking, I have absolutely no faith in the integrity of what's happening on the field right now with these officials.
No, it just right. I mean, between you know what is or what isn't pass interference, and how many announcers say, "Well, when we just thought we knew what pass interference was, now this is something else," and they have officials in the booth with them, like Mike Pereira. And so many others that are there to explain what they see, and even they're kind of dumbfounded. Sometimes you could hear it where they're like, "Well, I would have picked that flag up, or I wouldn't have thrown that flag," and they try to do it as delicately as possible, as not to, kind of besmirch the officiating crew, but you could see that there are just the announcers are even frustrated trying to call. They're like, "Oh, well, we thought we knew what pass interference was, but this is clearly a different case." And it's the same way with fumbles. Now it's the football move, and if it's two steps and a football move, there are so many things that keep constantly changing. I don't understand why they can't have some kind of uniformity at some point with the officiating, because it's gets to be a mess sometimes. It really does.
I understand that it's a very hard job officiating at any
Right.
level of any game. I get it. I totally get it. But with the technology that's available, and there are enough of them on the field these days at the professional level, there has to be something that they can do, especially with regard to pass interference, because at least to me, that's the one that seems to be the most egregious, where they either
Yep.
don't call it and should, or they call it and they shouldn't. That to me is the most egregious one, and it has to be, they've got to put a definitive line as to what is and what isn't pass interference.
Now, we were talking about this before we came on the air as well. If you watch the end of the Detroit Pittsburgh game, clearly Amon-Ra St. Brown pushed off. It was pass interference. But the way they went about explaining the end of the game, because it would have been, without the PI, it would have been a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But now also, what I found interesting about that whole sequence, Pittsburgh defenders pushed Amon-Ra St. Brown out of the end zone and probably 3 yards back. At some point, forward motion was already stopped. He threw the ball to Jared Goff. Jared Goff runs it back to the end zone and scores. And they said it was a touchdown. There were so many things in that play that I'm like, what are we doing? It's like watching the Keystone Cops try to, they called touchdown. Detroit fans go nuts. They said, but wait, there was a flag on the play. All they had to do was take a couple extra seconds and figure out how to announce it correctly. So you didn't get one fan base. The fans are going to be pissed off no matter what. But the way they went about announcing this final play and the end of the game, it was just horrendous. And again, guys, take the extra second. You have all this technology to get it right. And they just don't, they find new and inventive ways to mess it up. And I just don't get it.
The only thing missing was the Benny Hill theme.
It's all you needed for that end of the game. It's all you needed was a little yakety sax in there.
I want to move on to the Mets. And before we go, everybody knows my feelings on Pete Alonso. He hits home runs. I did not want him in a Red Sox uniform. I'm very glad he's in
You
Baltimore.
made that abundantly clear over the past
I'm
few episodes
very
before he
clear.
signed with the Orioles.
They picked up Contreras, the Red Sox did. I'm perfectly fine with that. I will
Great get,
say
by the
this.
way.
I like Jeff McNeil a lot. I was a big Nimmo fan as well. But you watch what's been going on. We talked about this last week. Now
Yep.
McNeil is gone as well. And not only that, but the Mets are eating some of the salary. So to use that line, that quote from the Moneyball
Yep.
movie, they're paying David Justice. David, they're paying you not to play for them.
Yep.
So
Here's your hat. What's your hurry? Don't
yeah.
just we like you. Don't go away, man. Just go away.
So I mean, you can see what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're cleaning house. There was clearly something going on in that clubhouse, and I think ownership has identified who the most,
Right.
I don't want to say guilty, But I think they
No, I
figured
know
out
what
who
you
the
mean.
biggest problems are
Right.
in the clubhouse, and they're waving them goodbye. And while all that's happening, do we like the new bullpen acquisition the Mets made last week? How does that set up with Devin Williams? All
Right.
of a sudden, they're grabbing another guy off the Yankees. You're going, wait a second. I like this. Now Weaver gets back into Williams rather gets
Right.
pushed back into more of a setup role instead of him
Right.
being the closer. And you think, hey, maybe there is a plan after all. Maybe this, goodbye Alonso, goodbye Nimmo, goodbye McNeil. Maybe there's something to this.
Right. Now, could you imagine, depending on what they do with the starting pitching between now and the start of the season, you also have another guy who is on the Yankees. Let us not forget Clay Holmes. Now, if you move him out of the starting rotation, because that didn't, after midseason, that went downhill quick. If you move him back to a bullpen role, now you have Holmes and those two on top of it. Could you, and Luke Weaver and Devin Williams, you could interchange any one of them because they all have closing experience. Imagine that 7, 8, 9.
I like what the Mets have done with the bullpen a lot so far, and that could be very special. Meanwhile, Mr. Yankee, what are your thoughts as the team has really done
Hey,
nothing?
hold on. What do you mean nothing? We re-signed Paul Blackburn, damn it.
The pennant is ours.
Exact championship. Mark it down. We won December. We got Paul Blackburn. Um, I'm I'm holding out my opinion for now only because I just there's not enough to go on. There's you know the whole uh, outfielder that they re-signed. I can't think of his name now. I'm just totally blanking on the outfielder they re-signed. But you know, people made more out of that because they re-signed him at such a high rate. Bellinger is still out there.
Mm-hmm.
If they sign Bellinger, I was just having this conversation earlier today. If they re-sign Bellinger, I'm really happy with the offseason. If they don't sign Bellinger, I don't think Tucker's in play for them at all. But if they re-sign Bellinger and maybe they're still in on the Japanese import Imai, I believe is his last name. If they get somebody like that, or if they get shore up the pitching, I'm okay with the offseason. Right now, I'm just giving him an incomplete grade because there's not enough to go off of. Trent Grisham is who I was trying to think of
Okay.
before, by the way. Grisham was, that whole thing that I think kind of blew up in their face. I don't really think they were trying to sign him. I would think they were hoping for a draft pick. And then he went, no, I'll sign. Wait,
I'll
two
come
million?
back.
Sure. I'll come back. And they went, wait, what?
I
Um,
like commuting from Manhattan on the 4 train.
oh, that's great. Fantastic. For 22 million for 1 year. Absolutely. You got me. Yeah, so, with Grisham and just the minor moves that they've made so far, it is what it is. It's incomplete to me. It's hard to get excited or to get upset. I think they still have some things brewing, I hope. Bellinger being the biggest one to me. I think if they re-sign Bellinger, I feel a lot better. If they don't, ooh, then be having a different conversation. You may be talking me off the ledge, but I'm not. I'm going to cross that bridge when we get to it.
So you and I, for this coming weekend, will both be at different football games. I'm going to be going to the Jet Patriot game at
Right.
MetLife Stadium, and you, sir, are traveling too.
I'm traveling to the Great White North of Buffalo, and I will be watching Buffalo and the Eagles live at Highmark Stadium, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be cold, but you're going to Buffalo in December, so I didn't think I'm going anywhere tropical.
I'm wondering how many Eagles fans will make the trek. Do they
Can you
travel well?
imagine? Can you imagine these two fan bases in one place at the same time? This is going to be mayhem, and I'm going to love every minute of it. I might have to do like the man on the street and start interviewing people for next week's episode.
And watch, this will be the week that the Jets put it all together and they get the Patriots in a sleeper game.
That would just be insanity for so many reasons, with Buffalo trying to catch New England with, one more loss than New England has. Could you imagine? That would just be pure insanity.
Hey, listen, if you like what we do, there's a subscribe button down here if you're watching us on
Yep.
YouTube. Please hit that. The algorithms will love it, and so will we. Tell a friend if you like us, tell an enemy if you don't. Just tell somebody. Swendeman, have a marvelous Christmas. We'll do this again next week.
You too, Jim. Enjoy the holiday, and we'll catch up next week.